CSS, which stands for Cascading Style Sheets, controls the styling of web content. It is the language responsible for the presentation of HTML, like fonts, colors, sizes, and spaces. Style sheets are made up of rule sets that style HTML elements. For example, if we wanted our previous text to be a blue color, our style sheet might have a section that looks a little bit like this. Got the P element and color blue. The rule set has two main parts. A selector is the HTML element name, class, or ID. That's at the start of the rule set. It defines what within the HTML document should be styled. A declaration is a single rule, like color blue. It defines which of the element's properties should be styled. Declarations typically have the property and the property values. But that's not enough to have the rule set. You'll need to connect it to an HTML document or have it inline. If you want to connect it to an HTML document, you'll do that with an external style sheet, kind of in the format below. Now let's jump back just a little bit and talk a little bit more about IDs and classes, starting with IDs. An ID is a unique identifier for an element. It should be unique within the page, meaning no two elements should have the same ID. You can use an ID to style a specific element in your CSS file. In HTML, you assign an ID using the ID attribute, the little hash there. This is an example of what the HTML would look like with an ID, and then how the CSS would play out. A class is a way to group multiple elements that share the same styling. So for example, if you didn't want all paragraphs to be green, for example with 18 font, if you didn't want all of them to be green, you just wanted some, but you didn't want to have to spell out that paragraph A should be green and paragraph B should be green, you could assign a class. And then you style these classes, or in this CSS file, you can style these elements using the dot symbol, followed by the class name. By using IDs and classes, you can create complex and consistent designs. IDs are more so useful for targeting single unique elements, while classes are great for styling groups of elements in the same way. Now, with an understanding of CSS fundamentals, it's time to dive into some concepts that will be particularly helpful when we're creating prompts to define layouts when designing landing pages. And these are CSS Box Model, Flexbox, CSS Grid, and responsive design. The CSS Box Model is a foundational concept that describes how every web page is structured, encompassing margins, borders, padding, and the actual content. In CSS, everything has a box around it, so as you plan layouts and instructions for designs, whether it's headings, images, or columns, you're arranging a series of boxes. Flexbox is the short name for the Flexible Box Layout CSS module. It's designed to make it easy to lay things out as either a row or as a column. While Flexbox is great for one-dimensional layouts, grid layouts are best for 2 dimensions. In other words, lining things up in rows and columns. That's where you want to use a CSS grid. Another major thing you have to remember is responsive web design. Responsive web design is a web design approach to making web pages render well on all screen sizes and resolutions. With more than 55% of all website traffic coming from mobile devices, you'll want to make sure your content looks good on all sorts of screen sizes and devices.
Want to learn more? Head over to nocode.mba to access our premium courses from top no-code experts.